All right, guys, another big win for the Houston Rockets over the Utah Jazz after Game 2 of the NBA playoffs. This is the Hoops Nerd postgame show. Let's talk a little bit about the Rockets, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Jazz. If you're a Rockets fan, you got to be excited. I would temper the excitement a tiny bit, but not maybe in the way you might think. Obviously, I cover a lot of the Jazz stuff, and actually, as the playoffs go on, we're going to be talking more and more national things. It's not looking like the Jazz are going to make it out of this series. It's not over yet. You never know. Things can change on a dime, but based off of what we've seen these first two games, Jazz aren't probably making it past the Rockets. I bet that's a safe bet, you think? So the thing is, and I think we've noticed this as we've watched the games, this is two things for the Rockets. One, this is just a perfect matchup for them. James Harden is just the perfect player to go against the Utah Jazz defensive scheme, because a lot of what the Jazz do is they try to funnel the ball handler towards Rudy Gobert, who can then stop them. You know, most teams in the league, Rudy's able to, stop the penetration. Most times Rudy Gobert plays against these teams, except for outside of the Rockets, he's able to stop that penetrator, and it just gums up the offense for every other team in the league, except for a couple of them. This is the team, though, that it just doesn't affect, because everything goes through Harden. Harden goes to the rim. Rudy comes up, and Harden's always able to pass it out, either to Capella for the lob or to the wing for a three-point shot. And 2 games in a row, we've seen that. There's just not a lot the Jazz can do. This isn't a knock on Rudy Gobert. Anyone who watches Rudy Gobert regularly knows what he's able to do. The Rockets, just the way they're designed, the way Harden plays, it just completely counteracts it. And so it's nice for the Rockets to get this matchup. So I think we know how good the Rockets are from this series. Obviously, they're just phenomenal. The offense is incredible, and the defense has actually been really, really good to an extent. Some of that, I think, is just the Jazz makeup and talent is just not that same level. I think the Jazz have a lot of talent, but the makeup of the team, the chemistry is just not there yet for this Jazz team. It's going to get better as the years go on, but we're just seeing how many flaws the Jazz have. But the other thing we're seeing with Harden is the Jazz have tried this kind of gimmicky scheme, and if they want to win a game, they better throw this in the garbage. Before this game, I was thinking that maybe, it was working, and I think a little bit, I think it has worked some. You saw a little bit of signs of life in Utah in the third quarter, but even then you wonder, is that just, the Rockets taking their foot off the gas a little bit? I mean, they just didn't have the same energy as they did in the first part of the game. They beat the Jazz in the first quarter. It was over. But what I was going to say is that the one thing that the Jazz have been taking away from Harden a little bit and doing maybe the only thing they've been doing a good job of is James Harden tonight had, 5 free throws. The big story with James Harden is that, he gets all his points from free throws. It's always drawing the fouls. And the Jazz have been doing a good job of not fouling him, not putting him at the line. And they've been doing that force him right thing. Didn't work again. At some point, Quinn Snyder needs to stop being stubborn and just switch things up or go back to just guarding someone. Here's a thought. How about we just have our lead guy stay in front of him and not let him penetrate whenever he wants, Quinn? Maybe that's an idea that the Jazz could probably try. And I know Harden's that good that he can penetrate, but when you're just letting him, it's killing us. It just doesn't really work. I was willing to watch it again and see how it evolves. At this point, he must not have the personnel because it's not working. And there's quotes from Jazz players after the game like, oh, we need to buy in more. Oh, we need to be 100%. Maybe, but it doesn't seem like it's really working. It seems like it works sometimes, and then other times it's not. But what Harden is proving, but what Harden is proving is that without those free throws, he's still scoring at an incredibly elite level. That 3-point shot is just going for him. He is scoring at an incredible level. He has a triple-double tonight, so he's rebounding the ball, passing it. He's just showing how elite he is. And then that's the thing is Harden with those free throws is so good at drawing fouls. He really is. Sometimes it is annoying, but he's good at it, and he still doesn't need it. That's how good he is. There's just not enough to say about James Harden. He is absolutely a analytics dream. He's an eye test dream. That step back three is incredible. His ability to shoot. I think the Jazz, honestly, if they want a chance to beat him, just force him to make step backs. Force him to make floaters. Like, this lob to Capella is just destroying Utah. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Capella, who is finishing them very well. Like, he does it as good as anyone in the league, that lob finishing. And so it's just this perfect combination with Harden. Really, really nice stuff from the Rockets. But that's the thing I worry about is this just an incredibly easy matchup for them? Or are they just this good? I think it's 75%, maybe 85% they're this good. And I think there is an element of this team they're playing just does not have the team makeup to counteract what they do. They just don't. And here's the thing for the Jazz. There's just not a lot of great things to take from this. The Jazz can't score. Another night where the Jazz can't hit a three. Like, no one can hit shots. Donovan Mitchell had a bad night tonight. Not a great night before, and part of that is just they're focusing on him. They're letting Ricky Rubio do whatever he wants, and they're going to say, hey, if Ricky Rubio beats us, so be it, but we know kind of what the Ricky Rubio show is. Plus, Ricky Rubio, for some reason, Quinn Snyder had Ricky Rubio guarding James Harden again, and that just, it shows, like, Rubio's level of defense. It's just not there. And then you have, like, at the beginning of the game, you had Derek Favors. He had open shots, open corner threes, couldn't make them. It's so tough to win against the elite teams if you don't have a top 10 level offense. It's so hard to win because as good as your defense is, if your offense isn't producing points that puts the other team in a half-court offense, it's hard to win. It's really hard. And when the Jazz start the game with like Mitchell, turnover, I mean, they went 5-0 because of turnovers. You know, that Eric Gordon turnover at the beginning of the game where Mitchell, and by the way, Mitchell bobbled like 6 passes this game. I don't know what's going on with his hands, but it must be jitters. I don't know. But Ingles just had a rough first quarter. Mitchell did too. The whole team couldn't seem to catch a ball. And some of that is because of the spacing. The Jazz just don't have a stretch shooter at the power forward or at the point guard. It's hard to win against a team like the Rockets, who are this good, with a point guard who can't shoot threes consistently or a power forward that shoots threes at a high level. It's just hard to win. All the good teams, they can do that. You know, whatever team it is, that's what they do. The Rockets. Golden State has Draymond Green, who people play off of, but they have 3 of the best shooters of all time on the floor. You have to have at least 3 good shooters on the floor at a time. The Jazz have 2. Rockets are playing with 4 good shooters at all times, and then Capella setting screens and finishing lobs. It's a perfect offense. But all the good teams out there, Milwaukee, they have 4 shooters around Giannis at all times. All of them. It's what you do. The Jazz don't have that, and so they're not going to win. Even the Clippers, who I would say the Jazz have. Like if the Jazz play the Clippers, the Jazz have the 2 best players in that series in Gobert and Mitchell. But outside of that, they have just more shooters than Utah. And that's how they were able to come back and beat Golden State the other night. They have shooters. The Jazz don't. And so it's just rough for Utah to score. And Houston's switch defense just gives them incredible problems. They're just playing at an elite level and just demolishing the Jazz. There's just no way around it. Quinn Snyder has to adjust. And this offseason, if the Jazz just get ousted in the first round, Dennis Lindsey has to make some moves. They have to get a shooting power forward and they have to get a shooting point guard. We just have to, or it's not going to get better. The Jazz have to now focus on a top 10 offense, or they're just not going to, this is their limit because you can't win without shooting, and the Jazz don't have it. So Quinn Snyder's got to try something else. Can we put in George Niang maybe? He can actually shoot the ball. Jay Crowder and Tabo and Derek Favors have shown they just can't shoot the ball, and we need some shooting. And right now the defensive scheme isn't working either, so you might as well try something. Rough stuff for Utah, guys. Not a lot to say for Jazz fans. I'm sorry. They did play a little better in the third quarter, but like I said, I think that the Rockets actually took their foot off the gas a little bit. But there were some defensive possessions for Utah in that third quarter that maybe gave you a glimmer of hope, that maybe they were figuring a few things out. Either way, there's a lot that's got to change for Utah. And so, guys, like and subscribe to the Hoops Nerd channel. And I'm going to put a link in the video. We're going to start, I have a t-shirt shop. You can buy some fun t-shirts and go look at it and maybe buy them. It would be great. because then some of that money goes to me, and I like money. Like and subscribe, guys. I will talk to you later.